Yeah, let's
Okay,
go for it.
let's see. Hmm. Let's see. All right, so we're live, and then
Sure.
all right, and we are live on Instagram now, so that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's start. Steph, man, it's been such a long time, and I wanted to get you on here to hear some crazy stories, hear what's going on in your life and your podcast and things. So nice to meet you. How are you doing? Like, how is everything?
Thank you for having me by. First of all, I had so much fun hanging out with you and our mutual friend at Disco Cult TV. Life has been
Mm-hmm.
crazy. No joke. Like I'll just in a nutshell, I was pregnant, then had a miscarriage, car engine exploded. I mean, a lot of shit. But then to be honest, then the podcast is going good. Life is going good. I'm making good money flipping houses. So I've had some hiccups, but overall, I'm doing well. But it's just, you know, how you got to have those ups and downs of life. That's
Yeah, of course, of
what's been
course you do.
happening.
Yeah, nothing much, man. Just been also getting this podcast started, trying to bring back. I know it sounds kind of people always say it like it sounds like I'm dreaming, but like I always loved the shows like the TRLs, the MTV in the '80s, which I was way too obviously not even born yet. Headbangers Ball, way too young for, and I'm trying to bring that kind of vibe back where you have live shows and people can kind of go crazy, say whatever you want, which is the hence the word SLEAZE TV.
I
And
love
I
it.
want to, yeah, and I want it where it's a platform where you don't feel like, you go on other platforms and it's like, oh, I have to watch what I have to say, or I can't say this thing or do this thing, or someone's going to get offended. And I think right now is a time where we need to kind of bring that sleaziness back that was in the 90s, especially, and the
Yeah.
2000s, where you could just like be sexual no matter what your race, creed, color, whatever is. And I think that I want to bring that back. And so
Yeah.
that leads me into your fucking crazy fucking stories. If people don't know, explain like kind of like your history in, Hollywood, like Hollywood legend, history, in rock and roll and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I'll start real quick at the beginning. My freshman year of college, I flew down to Cancun and met the creator of Girls Gone Wild. So I've got a Joe Francis is the reason he gave me a taste of Beverly Hills and Los Angeles
Mm,
for reals, not the tourists, you know. So we started dating after we met in Cancun for a year, and I would help host the
yeah.
Girls Gone Wild parties. We'd get in a bus or we would fly somewhere and we would do drugs, have sex, have group sex. It was so fun.
Mm,
Recruit some of the girls to go on the show. So his next door neighbors were Elon Musk and Quincy Jones in 2004. And that was just like, oh, these people are cool. I don't really know what's going on because I'm 18, right? But I
yeah.
knew from dating Joe that I want to end up in LA one day. But my mom's going to is in Orange County, and I'm going to college in Northern California in Stockton. So I would fly down to Orange County a lot, and then drive out from Orange County to LA. So a lot from 18 to 21. I got in the
Mm,
scene. I was there when Steel Panther was middle school and had their first show at the Viper
yeah.
Room. And there was like 9 of us. And I got on stage and I showed my boobs and I was like starting, the flashing wild madness. And Michael Starr is like so nice about that. Like he's always been great at thank you for helping to start that trend. And then, when you get in the groove, and I started working at Playboy Radio after college and had an internship there in 2008. So then getting invited to the Playboy Mansion and the parties, I started hanging out with Derek of Sum 41 and Joey Fatone of NSYNC. And I just liked dating people doing cool shit. I loved dating people in bands and kind of well known directors, producers, and just dove deep in to the scene.
Right. Okay, so yeah, that's insane. So tell us, like, what is your what is the one story that you would like to tell? I remember hearing something about Ron Jeremy. I want to
Yeah.
fucking know about that. Dude, you gotta fucking tell me this story. This is
So
insane.
like I said, there's so many stories. That's why I just sent you like a little blurb of some I can't remember. My girlfriend today reminded me about a threesome story that I forgot that we did with a random guy in a bar. So, but no, Ron Jeremy, I had an interview with him with Playboy Radio. I asked him
Mm.
if he could come to Pacific Palisades because that's where I was living with my girlfriend Nadia, and he did.
Yeah.
He was really nice, very respectful. Anything that I've heard about him is untrue to me, but my girlfriend Nadia wanted to have sex with him. Of course, he's a well-known porn star, you know what I mean? So she was like, "Let's go." They started in the bathroom, but then they didn't have enough room, so they just moved. We had been drinking too. They moved out into the living room, and I'm still getting my camera equipment all, back together and whatnot. And so they just started having sex in front of me, Ron Jeremy and Nadia, and it was hot. It was fun. She got railed
Is
pretty
Ron
hard.
Jeremy's dick actually really big, from what I've heard?
It is, but I will say if you look at porn now, they've gotten bigger, right? Like I think it was,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
12, 13, like insane shit. Yeah.
yeah, I think it was big for the 80s and 90s, and he has a nice size, probably 10-inch or whatever. But I would say if you look at porn now, there's like an awkward 1% of men that have these horse dicks, and you're like, where did they come from? So he looks more average now.
Wow. And so, like, how was that scene? Like, how, like, what? Tell us more. Like, what?
It was hot and sloppy and fun because, me and Nadia were troublemakers. We were on blow and
Mm.
drinking all the time. Our parents would send us money, so we would not really work. We would have these internships, or we would strip for like a month and then take 2 months off. We had these weird intermediate jobs, where like we weren't really working. And so we were just a hot mess. And I don't know, like I don't remember it too clear, just more in bits and pieces of flashes. Like I said, one of my favorites is about Michael Starr, though, from Steel Panther, because he
Hmm.
runs off stage and porn star Trisha Ray is there with me, and we're just having fun backstage. And she goes, "Let me go down on you." And he's like, "All right." So Michael whips it out right on the side of the stage, and porn star Trisha Ray just gives him a blowjob on the side of this. And I'm just standing there like, damn, should I cup a ball? Should I do anything? Should I jump in, or not? But
Yeah. Yeah.
really fun. And then Joey Fatone, because I was an NSYNC girl growing up. We liked the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. So we
Get the
met at
fuck
the,
out of here. Are you joking with me?
yeah,
You
no, we
like the
met at the
Backstreet
Playboy
Boys?
Mansion.
I would
And
not see you as a like a boys man. Like, I
so
would not
I
see you
was
as.
preppy growing up. Like I was in dance and cheer growing up. I went into my goth phase later in high school, but when I was in fifth grade, that's when NSYNC and Backstreet Boys were really cool. And I was definitely in a preppy phase. But yeah, I met Joey
Mm.
Fatone at the Playboy Mansion, and then he told me him and his wife were going through a divorce, and he's flying out from Florida to LA to start his solo project, and he wanted me to come to the studio and hang out with him. So I go to the studio dressed as Britney Spears, like legit, had the fedora because it was like that, early 2000s, with my
Right? Yeah.
long
Yeah.
blonde
Yeah.
hair. And we got
Yeah.
it on in the studio bathroom, all over in the studio a lot. And then come to find out later, he gave Ronnie Radke all of these problems and issues, saying that Ronnie Radke was a cheater, but Joey was actually still legally married and was telling me and several other girls that he met in LA that he was going through a divorce and almost divorced, and he was nowhere near his divorce during that
And then
time.
there is no like Instagram, like there is no like thing you can like check at that time, like and look it up and
Well, you can Google when his divorce was, and I did it a long time, but it was not in the early 2000s. It wasn't until much later, and now he's remarried.
Oh, okay, okay, yes, yes, of course, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. So no, he was married though at that time, and then like I said, then the Hangover director, I was with Todd Phillips. He's been by my show a couple times, and that was fun. We had like orgies, and he threw my bachelorette party for my first wedding. Joey Jordison, I lived with him. I modeled in his album and Murder Dolls, and rest in peace. That was just great memories and time. He was such a sweetheart. He just partied a lot harder than any of us could keep up. Like he didn't take a day off when we're all hungover at the pool, having water because it's a 3-day bender and it's on day 4.
Yeah.
Joey is just back to drinking and pill popping, and you're just like, dude, how do you do that? Well, you can't.
So no coke, no coke.
I didn't see him when we were together, and I was with him at the end. So poor guy he was having kidney problems when we were together. I
Yeah.
think he was 36 or 37, but I never saw him snort anything. He had like 12 pill bottles, and he would drink like a fish nonstop on these 12 pills.
Jesus fucking Christ, that's like
Yeah,
some rock star shit. What the
yeah,
fuck?
and function, but his kidneys weren't functioning, but the rest of his body was. It's bad, but true.
Okay. Yeah, but no, I like it. I like it. So
Yeah.
like, what would you say? I mean, like, fuck, dude. Like, what would you say is why? I feel like we still have that scene sort of in Hollywood where you like can have fun like that, even though there's no more like Playboy Mansion, because I love Entourage, and I was just happened to rewatch it last night, and I was just like, fuck, dude, like this energy that you're watching Entourage, and you're watching like Hollywood in the 2000s and stuff, and you're just like, where the fuck is this at? Because like I moved here from New York, and New York, I mean, obviously I grew up having fun, but like for most of the great times, the party times, the Hollywood times, I'm too young, And so when I finally came out here to LA in 2019, which is fucking tragic because the next year is fucking COVID. I mean, after
Yeah.
COVID, it was like, bro, like Hollywood is just not that fun anymore. And if I do have fun with anyone, they're like over 35, over 40, like people that are actually having fun. There is no scene anymore where it's like, yeah, dude, like we're at this club and then we're gonna go to the Playboy Mansion, and then the Playboy Mansion we're gonna go to someone else's mansion, and then we're gonna stay up for 2 days. Like, I don't know. Like, where do you think times have just changed,
I
or
think it's two
is
reasons. I think the first one is cell phones in general. Like when I was deep in the party scene, we didn't have phones on us a lot. We weren't like glued to our phone taking photos and videos. We had razor phones
yeah,
and really shitty phones where I'm not saying you couldn't take a photo, but it was grainy and it wasn't like the technology
yeah, it wasn't
that's
that
out.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
I had an orgy in the Playboy Mansion in the game room with the door open, and I wasn't worried about someone walking by and videotaping or taking a photo because a lot of us, like I didn't have a phone on me that night. Like we didn't even want our shitty phones. We weren't living on our phones. We were living in the moment. And the second thing is COVID. So my last girlfriend I had in LA just left LA 2 months ago. And I used to have so many people to call in LA to stay with. But ever since COVID, everyone left to Vegas, Nashville, and Austin. Those are like the three transplant cities that my friends in LA left to. And I don't have anyone that I know well that I partied and hung out with because they said COVID killed LA and crushed the party scene and closed a lot of businesses. So I think social media overuse, right? Now I loved MySpace. That was so fun.
hmm
We would get home and for 1 hour jump on it and laugh and update our song and status and leave it. But
leave. Yeah,
we
yeah.
have social media. We're like this staring at our phone and on it and it has ruined relationships and partying and everything.
Yeah, you know what's funny? So I used to go to a fucking bar, Keys. I don't know, it just opened.
I've never heard of it.
Um, yeah, it's on the strip. It's pretty much where Gazari's was, and the
Okay.
Key Club was on the strip, right by like the Rainbow and all those areas. And I went, and it was like all the girls are over here. You have guys that like maybe paid $10,000 for like the seats in the middle or whatever, for a bottle. Um, and then you got the guys over here just like looking at their phone, holding their pants, like. And I'm just like, dude, like what? Like, why aren't you trying to like go up to the girls, or why is no one dancing? Why is no one conversing? Why is everyone just kind of like pretending to have fun? Just taking selfies, and no one's actually having fun. I think the whole generation now is obsessed with people thinking they're having fun
Yeah,
instead of actually having fun.
that's a great point. I agree. And also we're missing human interaction, real intimate face-to-face human interaction. The sites like OnlyFans and Chat You Bait are doing so well, but then it's kind of sad because men are using that, pretending they're in a relationship with somebody that they're paying that's not reality in the real world, holding hands and dating and hanging out. And I think there's a digression of dating, even having sex and marriage. All of the forms of relationships are going down because we're not face to face talking and hanging out. We think that the internet, as fun as this is, and I love podcasting virtually, it's much different vibes to be in person right now, having a drink, hanging out. Then that's what we need more of.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. So, and so, what do you think if you could give advice, like as far as like what we're doing now? Because my whole goal, I would say, is to bring back like maybe have a pool party, have SLEAZE TV around, interview people while not being too invasive. Like, oh, they're doing coke in the room. Let's bring the camera in there. Not
Yeah.
really that. More like cameras are around. And I think one of the positives that I did see was this new streaming thing going on, and that's why I was like, man, I really want to hop onto that. But the only problem is, I feel like the streaming thing is more of a, you know, wealthy Miami thing now. it's not really happening in LA like I mean like I would assume it would be.
I
Um,
like streaming. I find it fascinating to watch these younger rich kids in mansions throwing these parties or kickbacks, and it feels like
yeah.
you're in their life, like you're actually following this person around,
Hmm.
and there's no editing. Like, this is live. I dig that too. This is reality of what's happening. We're not trying to edit the best version of the interview or hanging out. So I dig
Correct.
streaming. I think that's really cool, and I would have loved to stream, but now, see, a lot of people don't want their dirt online. Like, I have a lot of friends that have been like, "Hey, Steph, I know you're starting a podcast. Can you not say my name?" And I'm fine with that. And I won't mention
Hmm.
the girl's name if she doesn't want me to from back in the day, you know. But I'm at
Right.
this level where I've been on the radio for so many years and I've confessed all of my madness and wildness. And I'm like, you know what? I want to date someone that loves me for me, that has heard all the dirt and the crazy shit and goes, fuck it.
Yes.
I still want her. I don't care.
And that's how rock stars used to be. You know, when I
Yeah.
really look at it, I'm like, you know, you look at like people like Tommy Lee and like all these people that were known for like being notorious rockers. It was kind of like what was the beauty of it. I feel is like you can witness, you know, their ups and downs. You knew their dirt, you saw their dirt, and these people were not trying to hide anything. You know, that's what I really loved about it, and I feel like that is the number one thing I think is missing from the streaming is everything that I see in streaming. You know, you go on Twitter and you're looking at these like viral videos that happen. You know, it seems like it's like fucking like planned to me. It doesn't seem genuine. Like the whole clavicular guy for apparently overdosing on live. Do you
I
think that
saw
was
that.
legit or like? Because it
It
seems like it
no,
was like kind of. I don't know. It's up. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it looked fake, you know, and the girl licking
Right.
the toilet bowl on the airplane and all these, it's like, how far are you going right now for views and to look cool? I think it's inauthentic, and what at least sells for me, I'm not talking about the younger generation because I think sometimes they want over the top, right? It's hard to impress them. But for me as an older person, I love authentic people that I can relate to and go, you've made mistakes too, and you're not afraid to admit that, and you're not perfect, but you're kind of funny and you're just saying, this is who I am. That's what I like. I don't like some bullshit, or if it seems staged or faked, unless it's like, oh, this
Yeah.
is a comedy skit. Like, you're making a comedy skit. You wrote out this and you're trying to do this, then that's funny. But and to joke though about Odine or want to show Odine, I don't know. There's a lot of fentanyl right nowadays going around. So unfortunately, there's
Correct.
people, you know, dropping off like flies. But I think it's very weird how calm everyone kind of was around him, like for a while. Like, what? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
dude. It was, dude. Like that's the thing. It was like everything seems to be set up because like they had the girl had the phone like perfectly placed when they're trying to like take him to the car. And the thing is, I was like, I think anyone who partied hard, I have, you know, in Vegas, I OD'd in 2016. Like, I know how ODing looks, and I've had friends that OD. I know how it looks, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it before. You know
IOD.
exactly how.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I know how that looks, and that looked like dude was just like drunk, and they carried him out. Like that's
He
what it
looked
looked
like
like
me
to
on a
me.
Monday night in my 20s all the time, right? Like, when I
Yeah.
OD'd, I had a seizure. I was foaming at the mouth. I blacked out, but the my friends took my grill out of my mouth. I woke up in the hospital for a couple days. I took ecstasy, drank all day, and then did some coke. So basically, it was dehydration. Though all I did was I was too dehydrated, so my
Yeah.
body had a seizure and shut down. But like, I think he might have drank too much and gotten woozier out of it and passed out for a little bit, and then everyone labeled it OD. It's like, really? Really?
It's like really, it's like it's not an
Hmm.
OD, dude. And that's
Yeah.
the thing where I'm like, I really like the streaming part, but I feel like none of it's. And I don't want to. I don't want people to think that I'm. How can I say this? Like, I don't want people to think we're like pushing, doing a bunch of drugs and ODing and making, you know,
No.
actually doing. It's like it's kind of like it was just what you did. And I like the saying where one of my friends, Garen, he's like a huge '90s guy. You know, used to go to the beauty bar, you know, Burger Room back, you know, when it was at its highest, and he was just like, the thing about he's like, you know, you're not rock stars did things because that's who they were, not because they thought someone thought it was cool. You just did
Or
it.
I did
You
it
just
to escape. I did it because I was low. Like, I'm not currently doing drugs right now at all. I did drugs because I felt like shit because I had so much
Yeah,
trauma I was running for.
trauma.
So I would never be like, "Oh, everyone do drugs. It's so much fun." No, usually when people are doing drugs, they're depressed. They're not happy.
Yeah,
It's not a great
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, like I do coke like occasionally. I don't do as much as I used to, but like I do it now, and I'm like, yeah, I do it because I believe it. How can you say complements the party? When you're drinking and
Do
you
you
do
not get
coke
the
and you're
blues though? Do you not get the depression, the cocaine blues?
absolutely,
See, I did
absolutely. That's not
really
like, and that's
bad.
not even, dude. Yeah, that I get. So what I've noticed is for me when I do coke, it's like I'm at a party and I've learned how to specifically like, okay, why am I going to do this? It's usually I have friends over because I live in the hills, so I have friends over sometimes, and we just start drinking, and when you're drinking, you're like, oh, I'm done with the coke. Otherwise, you're like, you know what? Actually,
Yeah,
actually, I'll fucking
yeah.
take some, and then we do some, and then like you're like high, and you're like, yeah, man, this is fucking badass, and then I notice how to stop myself now. And I'm saying, okay, how long have I been doing this? Oh, this has been 2 nights. Okay, this is a problem because you're going to do those 2 nights and you're going to think everything's great. And then that third day, or I like to call the Tuesday, happens. And you want to fucking hang yourself because you're like, this fucking sucks. And like, what the fuck? And so I'm like, how do I do this? Because I love it. How do I do it? And I have me and my girl. We have a thing where it's like, okay, let's do 2 lines an hour. 2 lines an hour. That's how we're gonna
You
control
limit
ourselves.
yourself.
Huh?
You're on a cocaine diet. You're limiting yourself. I like it.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, let's learn how to do it because I read this book by Carl Hart. I think it's like drug use for grown-ups.
That's
And
funny.
really,
I've never heard of it. I need to read this.
dude, yeah. So you read it. He actually does heroin, which is what I was really bad in. So I would
Have you
never go
tried
back to
it? I
that.
loved it.
I loved it. No, I loved it.
Yeah.
That's what I had a problem with, dude. And I would do heroin, and I would do speed to pick myself up, heroin, and I did black. So the smoking it part, not the
Me
shooting
too.
it.
Me too. I
Yeah,
only
yeah,
smoked it. Yeah.
yeah. And so I did all that, and obviously all of that is like I had so many bad fucking. I have so many stories. We'll get to it, but crazy fucking stories. But I read this book, and he's been doing heroin since the '80s, and this guy is a professor at Columbia, and I'm like, what the fuck? And he has his shit tested or whatever, and he was saying, if you're drinking, and it's alcohol is pretty much sometimes worse than drugs in a way, depending on the person, obviously. And he said that you have to learn yourself, learn like how the fuck can I do these things and still, be functional and still, not destroy my nerves, not destroy my body, and do it as an adult and do it as a grown up. And that's what he was saying is like, put guardrails, within yourself. Like some people know you can have 2 or 3 drinks a night. Some people think you can have 1 drink a night. Some people, they can have 6 and then, wake up like it's nothing and they live till 90. So, and then that's when I started to say, okay, what do I notice when I'm doing drugs? When I'm doing drugs or specifically coke, I do nothing else at all. What do I do? And it's 2 lines an hour. And obviously I cut it off after a certain time. And I cut it off when you feel that, and I know you like can reminisce when you feel that high, but then you feel that high and your heart starts bumping and you're like this, and you like sit back and you're like, okay, I can smile and people can see me smiling, but I know I'm not feeling good. That's when you
Yeah.
cut it off. Versus, oh man, I just need to calm down real quick and then I can get back to it. No, never get back to it. Because once you get back to it, you keep going. And
I
again,
don't
I'm
know
not pushing
moderation.
doing this, but huh?
Yeah. I don't know moderation at all. That's my problem. So why
That was my problem for a long
can't handle
time. I'm
that. Like
telling you.
I had a little incident last summer where I was drinking all day at a pool party and it came out. And so, I got back into it and it just turned into a 2-day thing again.
Of
So
course it. Oh man.
I don't want to mess around with it at all. Now, alcohol, I'm actually very good in moderation. I'm very good at like I'll have 2 or 3 drinks and I want to settle down and watch a movie or just chill. I don't crave it all night. I've never had a problem with it.
Mm.
It's been alcohol with drugs or sex. And
Yeah.
both of those, and me being like, oh, I like those things. And now I'm under the influence of alcohol and I want to do those other things more.
Yeah.
So finding out what your triggers are. And then what you were saying too, our genetics and our bodies are all so unique. So figuring out what you can handle and can't handle. I get affected by like shrooms and acid, things of that, like psychedelics. I get affected by a lot more than everybody else. So
Yeah.
I can't mess around with that.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things where I say is like one of the rules that I've also made is I only do it on Friday and Saturday, meaning Monday through Thursday and Friday morning. Absolutely not. Because the
Yeah.
thing is, you're gonna be like, because sometimes it used to be where it was like, okay, because I had gained some weight, and I'm like, oh man, after I eat, I'll do some coke, take a shit, I'm all fucking good, and it's gonna be great. And you do that line and take a shit, and then you're like, okay, one more, okay, one more, okay, one more, and it just keeps going. Like you said, it just keeps going, and you can't control it at all.
Yeah. And
And so
sometimes
eventually,
the
I'm
weight
giving,
doesn't come off you. Like, there's been a lot of thick people I've seen that like to do coke. I think there's a weird
yeah,
correlation that skinny people, but no, sometimes you're still eating and gaining weight.
yeah, because you
Yeah.
just get in the comfortable mode. But
Yeah.
okay, so like, man, there was this another story that you had that I wanted to hear.
The manager of the Viper Room, I forgot, Tommy Black. That was a really funny
Oh,
one. Do
dude.
you
Okay,
know
I have
him?
so many. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I have so many questions about Viper Room shit. I don't know if I mean you can get to your story first, and then we'll go into the questions that I have because I have a lot of fucking conspiracies about that place.
So yeah, no, that it's haunted and stuff too. So I had a crush on Tommy, and I think it's so crazy that 25 years later, he's still the manager at Viper Room. Like, not a lot of places can say they've had the same manager. And
Yeah.
I had a huge crush on him, like I said, 15 years ago. And I would flirt with him and order at the bar, and he would wink and he would give me free drinks. And finally, I took him home. Well, we had been drinking obviously all night. And we ended up, I had a pink stripper pool. I was performing and dancing on that. We were doing a bunch of blow. We black out, but we wake up not on my bed. My bed is to the left hand corner. We're on the floor of my bedroom with Coke all over us and like a giant pink glitter dildo. And I didn't have one before this night. So we had somehow gone to a store and bought it and acquired it. And we both were laughing so hard, like totally undressed. Like, how did this happen? We don't, it was one of my funniest ways to wake up. And you're just like, what?
Wait, was it like you said pink Coke?
No, it was a pink dildo that was on the
Oh
ground and
shit!
glitter. And I
Did you
didn't
peg
own
him or
that.
something? Or
I didn't own that, and we had bought it
oh,
at some point after we left the Viper Room. So it was just kind of funny that
interesting.
we don't know the in between, the Viper Room in my house.
I can assume the in between. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far.
No, no, I could assume too, which I wanted it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I went for
Okay,
it.
so my Viper Room questions are, dude. So I've been like, uh, I had watched a documentary about like the whole. What's the guy that died right in front of it?
Oh, God, the young actor,
Yeah, what's the name?
yeah,
The
that hung
Phoenix,
out with
right?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
River Phoenix, right?
Yes, River Phoenix.
Dude, so okay, what is your conspiracy on that? Because I had a person that said the guy that used to own it before Tommy Black, I think the guy that used to own it, like a kind of like an older man. I think he sued Johnny Depp, and then the guy, for some reason, on the cameras at the Viper Room, they never see the security cameras. They never see the guy walk out of the building after the night that he was there, but they saw his truck in the middle of nowhere, like up there in like California desert, like kind of above Pasadena and all that area. And what is your opinion on that? Like a lot of people say that maybe he was like killed there. I don't know. Put
Have
under
you
the Viper Room.
seen? Yeah, no, there's crazy shit everywhere, but LA's a hub for the devil's work. Have you seen the movie The Informers?
I have not.
You
I
have
gotta
got to
fucking
see. It's about
okay.
Los Angeles in the 80s, and you're gonna love it. And
The
it's
Informers.
yeah, it's got Billy Bob Thornton, Winona Ryder, Amber Heard. It flopped at the box office, but
Holy
then it's like a
shit.
cult classic now. But that you're reminding me of The Informers. Basically, that there's evil people, people offing each other in LA, vampires, predators. It deals with a lot of like pedophiles. And I'm sure he was young and in that scene. You know, Leonardo, by the way, and Johnny Depp have so many stories that they probably can't even talk about, though, because they'll be X'd out of their roles in Hollywood. But they started as children in the business, and older people prey on kids, you know? Like, I acted very low levels, and there were so many creepy casting directors and people that were touching me inappropriately at 12, 13, 14 at these auditions. So I can imagine what
Fuck.
these higher level, you know, actors and actresses and producers and directors were going through and doing. But I think someone maybe touched him. He was going to come forward, or someone gave him drugs and he was underage and they didn't want to get in trouble. So he definitely got killed. I don't think he killed himself.
Yeah, because some most of the stories from the people that are not like celebrities that night, they say they saw some guy hand him something. They saw some guy hand him a drink. They're saying that apparently, like the cocaine that he was sniffing in the the VIP room, which I'm pretty sure everyone's been in that is in Hollywood. They gave him that was mixed with heroin purposely, and they
Wow.
took him out for some reason. And I'm just like, all these people saying that, and this is in police reports. It's like, what the fuck? And then the manager disappearing. The manager never leaving the Viper room that night. And no one knows where the guy's body is. He just disappeared and he's been gone ever since 2001 when he sued Johnny Depp. That to me is fucking like, what the fuck? Which leads me to my next question. Like, when you're at your stint in Hollywood, did you ever see any like dark shit, any Illuminati shit, any like anything that like gives like I would say homage to these conspiracies of like how dark shit can get in Hollywood?
Yes. I saw something so disturbing. I don't want to go into detail, but to set up
Of
how
course,
that happened, I was stripping at Crazy Girls in Hollywood, and then one
of
of the
course.
girlfriends I was stripping with decided to do, you know, tricks on the side. And she said, because she knew I had a gun, so she was like, "Steph, you're crazy. You have a gun. Can I give you 1/4 of what I make if you come from my protection? Like, you're gonna walk in, the guy's gonna know that you're there, and then you wait outside, and I text you if something goes wrong." And I said, "For sure." So I was doing that for like 4 or 5 months, making good money, just sitting outside of a car while my girlfriend was doing her things. Well, that's how we met this guy that at first sounded too good to be true. And he's friends with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So that's always been like kind of weird to me. Like, he rented out one of his houses to them for free in Malibu. He flew me and my girlfriends to Vegas one time. That was fine. Like, nobody did anything. He got a suite at the Encore. He had to leave for business like right after he flew us out there. So he just left and we stayed there for 4 or 5 nights and we partied seemingly fine. Well, then my girlfriend Alara was like, okay, I want a sugar daddy. Like, I want to commit to him. And he doesn't like to
Yeah.
share his girls. So he says, you have to commit to me. And he then told her some weird shit, roughed her up really bad, let me know. He flies to Thailand and he gets young girls. I won't go into detail
Yeah, of
because it's
course.
so disturbing, but like, he would get these young girls in Thailand and sometimes flying back to America, and they'd have parties in Beverly Hills. And then he would show us photos and brag about it. I was so young. I think I was like in shock. I was 24, which doesn't sound young, but now that I'm in my 40s, I'm like, you're really too young to process it. And I go, there's no way this guy's doing this, right? Like, he's just doing this to scare us. He's making these
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
you know, but no, it's like so sad that this guy is not in trouble. We've all told on him for the photos and the videos with these little girls, and nothing's happened to him. And they've been overseas and they basically torture them, and then they start having sex with them after they're tortured and
Holy
bound and
shit.
whatnot. It's yeah,
This
and
is some dark shit,
it's
dude.
really
Whoa.
dark. It's yeah.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
then he roughed my girlfriend up, and she ran to me, and I had to go have a confrontation with him. And then he basically was like, I'll make you guys disappear if you tell anyone about this. So then she didn't want me to go to the cops. I wanted to, she didn't want to. So it just like had to go away. But that was like a very that I got out of LA just like a year later. I remember being like, this is not okay. I found the dark underbelly of LA, right? And I went to Austin, Texas, which I'm not saying is better, but I didn't get into the creepy, super ultra rich having sex with underage people group there, which was good, right? But like you don't know who's doing what. Literally, it took us maybe a year or two to even figure out who this guy was and what he was really doing. I said the only strange thing, like I said, is that he like gave a lot of houses to the Red Hot Chili Peppers for free. And, you know, maybe I'm not saying like maybe they didn't know anything about what was going on too. So I don't know. And then I stayed with like this cult
Jeez.
like people. It's called the Rawat Mansion, like Amar Rawat. I dated him. I was staying in Malibu at his compound and it's like crazy. Like I've never been in anything like this. Like you go to the gates and you have to get ID'd by 2 security guards just to get on the compound. And then you go in and there's live-in chefs and butlers and assistants and there's gold elevators and several of them. You can pick up a phone and ask for a food item and that'll appear within 30 to 40 minutes. It was just like different kind of money. But I realize now looking back, it definitely was more cult like. Like they wanted you to believe in the religion and stay all the time and never leave. And that's why, I don't know, it wasn't like come and go. It was like, no, you should stay. And at the time, I'm like, oh, a cool mansion. Yeah, I want to stay. But
Yeah, yeah, of
there's
course.
something off about the Rawats. And I know they are an Indian spiritual leader that people follow and people give a lot of money to, and they fly all around the world. And I don't get how people like gurus and look up to gurus like that and give their money to guru. I never would do that. But they were never rude to me. They were really nice to me. But looking back, I'm like, dude, that there was some weird shit going on of the way people worshipped that family.
Man, this is kind of oh man, this is kind of insane, dude. So like,
It's
because I think a
crazy.
lot of people don't know, like, are not like really if they they're not really exposed to all of that. And you being in Playboy Mansion, which you were you did you just party at Playboy Mansion or were you like in Playboy?
I wasn't in Playboy, no, ever. I got the internship at Playboy Radio, so for a year, I thought at 21 I was going to be famous and take over as one of the main leaders. You know, I didn't understand that they were in their late 30s, and you have to have so much life experience to get on the head radio position. So it was just a great networking. I got to go to 4 parties during that year. It was so fun. I talked to Hugh Hefner. I thought about having sex with him, but I couldn't because he had so many indentations in his face and he was deaf.
Uh,
But I almost did it. Like I was thinking about it. Then I hung out with his son, Cooper, which was really sweet. He was dating someone. We were just like talking business and friends. And then I met Derica Sum 41 and we did a bunch of coke together
mhm.
in the telephone room. But no, like I never was in Playboy. I only went to 4 parties. It was awesome to network though. Like I met a lot of people that manage bands and one attorney, Eric German, that manages a lot of metal bands at the mansion. So it's just a good in that early 2000s, that was the hottest spot to go if
Yeah,
you were
I've seen.
like,
That's what I think. When I said I was watching Entourage, and I saw how a lot of people were, fucking parking. I don't know if this was like a dramatization, but a lot of people were like parking their car on the side, waiting to get in, and then you have to drive through a certain area, and they're like, "Okay, yay or nay." Was that like how that happened, or?
we got picked up because I was working for Playboy. So we got picked up from a
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and
yeah,
dropped off.
yeah.
But I know like I wanted a couple of my girlfriends to come and they just said send photos. So I'd send photos of my girlfriends and they would say yes or no from like 4 or 5 photos of them in a bikini. And I know a lot of guys want to come and guys can't get in. You have to have like major money. You would have to pay a lot of money and know someone to get in or be a famous male, but they wanted the female to male ratio to be really off. So there was always like 20 women to 1 man.
Yeah.
And but you knew if a man was there, he was doing something big because they don't let
Yeah.
men just walk in.
You can't just be like, "Oh yeah, man, like I just wanted to come to the party or blah blah blah," right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like how would for the Playboy Mansion, like it what have you seen? I mean, obviously what happens in Playboy really stays in Playboy, but like
Not with
in a
me.
way Okay, well, let's take that to my next question then. Did you ever see anything that was out of the ordinary at Playboy since we're on the topic? Like anything because I that's one thing I always because on my way because I live not too far, so on my way to when I'm going anywhere I drive past it and I'm like fuck man like it would have been fucking cool to fucking party there and then hearing about like the pool the I guess the pool area.
The
I don't know
grotto.
what is it the grok yeah grotto yeah
Yeah.
where you would like everyone just go in there and fuck apparently. I'm like, dude, like, what? Tell me like more about like what you saw.
During the 4 parties I went to, no one was having sex in the grotto, but I heard stories that that happens. I think it happens at smaller events when there's not a lot of people. We
Oh,
all got wild in the West game room. That was like there was 2 extra bedrooms in the game room, so everyone would hook up and do drugs there. We were respectful in the main house. There was security guards everywhere, so there wasn't
of
like
course.
madness and drugs in there. It was mainly like outside. We would party and hang out. They'd set up a big tent and have a ballroom outside. But you know what? I'll be honest, the Playboy Mansion was really like any other party in the LA hills with the pills and the drugs and the hooking up. There wasn't anything out of ordinary. Hef only went to one of the 4 parties. He was actually asleep during the other 3. So he
Of
wasn't even
course, he's like so old.
yeah, he was older. He was on his way out in the early 2000s. So I was just when I saw him at the masquerade ball, I'm like, I got to get through the security guards and talk to him
Yeah,
because I thought I was going to meet him at the other parties. I didn't. I was like, "Where's Hugh Hefner?" They're all like, "He's asleep during his own parties." So his
yeah,
sons would be there though to greet you and say hi.
man. So okay, that's good. Because I was watching a documentary and then they were like, Hugh Hefner was like, "Yeah, at my party, that I don't allow drugs in there." I'm like, "Oh bullshit." You obviously don't allow drugs, like you said, in the main room, but he obviously, if you had enough money or you were hot enough, could do what you
There was no
wanted.
TSA, right? We weren't being patted down and checked for drugs. Like whatever
Right.
came in,
Right.
came in. I'm not saying he provided it. That didn't, but whatever we
Of course,
brought.
it provided. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I feel like one person said that he later on he was like that the older he got, but they said in the '70s it was definitely like, hey, I have this, I have that. Back in the day,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I'm
when it was
assuming.
really poppin', the '70s and '80s, Playboy Mansion, the Sunset Strip. I grew up watching clips, and my dad was obsessed with hair metal, so he'd be in the garage all high
Like
working
me,
on his
absolutely.
motorcycles. Yeah, and so I
Yeah.
love you like that music too, and so I grew up with Wasp and Motley Crue and Aerosmith and seeing clips and going, "I wanna go to Hollywood and live like an '80s rock star," and do that life.
So tell me about the Girls Gone Wild. What was your experience with that whole world? Also,
So I like to publicly speak about Joe because I love him and I've had nothing but the best times with him. I've had him by a couple times. He gets so many negative comments because a lot of girls have falsely accused him of rape, but
oh
I'm like,
man,
he's a
he's yeah.
multimillionaire. He has hundreds of girls clawing at his bus when he rolls in to have sex with him. How is Joe trying to, that's just, he was an absolute sweetheart. When we went back to the hotel, it's the first time I ever saw cocaine when I was 18. I lived kind of a sheltered life. My family's a little bit
Mm,
more religious, my mom and whatnot. So I was like, whoa. And he goes, I don't want you to try this. I don't want you to do this. And I said, good. Okay. I don't want to. So he never forced it upon me, nothing. And then he moved very slowly, right? I'm thinking, oh, Crater Girl's Gone Wild. This is going to be crazy. He was very romantic, very slow. The next morning we had breakfast and he goes, hey, when I get back to LA, I need to fly you back. And I'm laughing like, okay, I know what this is, right? This is a cute
yeah.
thing. Whatever, Joe. No, he
I
fucking
need to
calls
find. I need
me.
to. No, it's just funny because it's like, yeah, every time I like one time, and this is when I was thinking when I first came to LA, I was talking to this woman, and I was just like, oh man, she's like, like 42 or whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, hey, how are you? Hey, I can fly you now. We can have fun. She's like, you think I'm stupid? She's like, I'm old enough. I know what you're doing. And
Yes.
so when you say that, it's like younger girls may be like, oh my god, this is amazing, blah blah blah. But
Well,
anyway,
I was only 18, but even at
oh
eight,
wait, you're 18.
yeah,
Whoa, okay.
yeah, this is
So
2004.
you
So
were very smart for
yeah, it was the height of Girls Gone Wild though. And so I said,
yeah,
okay, whatever, Joe. He called me the next day when he flew back from Mexico, and I did too. And he was
yeah.
like, hey, I want to book you your flight from Sacramento to LA. And I was like, wow. So he flew me out there. He took me to Tahoe. Then he flew me out to Reno. That's when I laughed. I told you the story. It was so funny that we're on his private plane. And it's the only
Hmm.
time to this day I've ever been on a private plane. I was so excited, like freaking out. And we're just railing lines. So at this point, so I didn't do cocaine with him the first couple times, but I ended up
Yeah.
going to college and doing it, at a frat house. So now I'm doing it. So I let him know. So I'm partaking with him now. And we are just banging and having champagne and snorting lines all over his jet.
Fuck yeah.
And he's banging on pilot's door, and I don't even know why. He's trying to ask him all these questions, and it flies open, and we're just like naked. And finally, we land in Reno, and he's like, "I'm done. I'm not flying you guys back to LA. You're gonna have to find a new pilot," because we were so annoying and lit. It was hella funny, but. Joe's a sweetheart. He treated me like gold. We've talked now. He introduced me to Paris Hilton. So the time I got to meet
Oh
Paris Hilton and
wow.
took photos with her out in LA was because of Joe. I lost my cell phone like years later, and I had him in as creator of Girls Gone Wild. Someone found my phone and saw that and called Joe, and Joe still had my mom's phone number in his phone and
What?
called my fucking
That's some
mom
wild shit, dude.
to get me my
That's some
fucking
wild
cell phone
shit.
back like 7 years after we dated. So and then he came by my podcast, a couple months ago and last
Yeah.
year. I love him. I absolutely love him.
Man, that is some wild. So was Joe a good lay?
Yes, a very good lover. He wants to get the woman off first. He loves to go down. He
Yeah.
has a great dick. I mean, it's just like literally perfect. Um, he's been with Paris Hilton, Kourtney Kardashian, Lindsay Lohan. I mean, they've all said too. Joe's a great lover. He just poor guy. I think he didn't stop partying, and I do think he partied a little bit too hard when we all got a little sober and started settling down. He kept going.
Oh yeah, because I did watch that documentary about him and everything. I was just like, I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, I don't see him as a guy. Like they're trying to make him out to be like some like old fat man that's like begging girls and like grabbing them when they don't want it. I'm like, dude, this guy looks good. They're openly working for him doing the Girls Gone Wild thing. So I don't see him having to rape or molest. I mean, the only thing I could see him maybe is like you said, he just keeps partying and the girls are like, oh, I don't want to party anymore. Maybe. But I don't
But
see
like
him
I
doing
saw
anything
girls
that a girl
wanting
doesn't
him.
want.
I think girls wanted his money. I think girls, they signed the contract. I saw all the girls sign their contract and he checked all of their IDs. And then they regretted signing the contract the next day and being
Yeah.
on Girls Gone Wild. I asked
Mm.
Joe to go on Girls Gone Wild and he wouldn't let me. He said, "You're not allowed. You can't." And I go, "I'm thankful now that I'm older. When I was 18, I was like, this is so cool. I
Yeah.
want to do it,
Yeah.
But I think the
So
girls regretted being on it and then blamed him.
yeah. That's you know what's funny? That's where a lot of things where I'm just kind of like that's going on with the rock stars now, especially the rock stars from like the 80s and the 70s and the 90s, and it's like all these documentaries are coming out about like, oh, I didn't want to do this or I didn't want to do that, and I'm just kind of like, I get it, like, but where do we draw the line of, hey, we're all just young people that just wanted to live the rock and roll lifestyle, whether you're a guy or a girl, gay or straight, and you did things that maybe you regret when you get older, versus, oh, this person actually molested me or groomed me, because it's like, and maybe I'm speaking like a guy, and it's just like, to me, grooming is like, okay, but this was the whole point of like rock and roll. Like, yeah, like a lot, like you make decisions that maybe your boomer parents, or I wouldn't even say boomer parents, I'd say the parents before boomers, you grow up in the 50s, right? And everything's so stultifying. Everything's so, rules. You can't do this, you can't do that. And then people are just kind of like, yeah, I may be 15, I may be 16. And even though I'm completely against that, obviously. Um, but, I'm going to hook up the Beatles, even though the Beatles are also young people. So it's not like 50
Yeah.
year old man. That's not what I mean. It's just you did things and you posed for Playboy or you posed for Penthouse or you took naked pics and you're in Hollywood or you did this. And then now that you have, a daughter or a son, now you're like, fuck, like I kind of regret that. Or did that guy groom me? Did he groom me when I was younger? And it's like, where do we draw the line from, hey, I was just a young, stupid, a young and, young, dumb, full of cum. I
Yeah.
was just, you know what I mean? I was just a young person. I made mistakes that I wouldn't want my daughter to do, but hey, I made it, which is why I was watching this documentary called Groupies, and this woman was like, when she was like the only one in the documentary, everyone else is like, oh, they're blah, 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 I'm going to sue them. And she's like, you know what? Like, yes, do I regret some things I did? Yeah, but it's like, I had fun. I was a woman. I could do what I want. I wanted to be sexual. I wanted to hook up with rock stars, and I would do it again if I was that age. You know
Yeah,
what?
I think no regrets. I think it's weird. That's a two-part answer. So first, of all, I have no regrets. I'm a mom now. My kids are going to see everything on the internet, and I'm okay with that. I want them to love and accept me for me that I did. I love
Yeah,
sex. I view sex as something very healthy. I don't view it as dirty and nasty. And when it's between two consenting adults, it's a beautiful thing. But also, I think a lot of women have been very misleading, and I think they've come on the tour buses. They've hooked up with these guys thinking it's going to be more than a hookup. And then when they realize it's just a hookup, they get upset and go, I was taken advantage of. Why are you inebriated alone in a hotel with someone or inebriated alone in a tour bus? I have never, ever put myself in a position to be taken advantage of. If I'm
yeah,
alone in a room with somebody, that's because I want to have sex with them. I wouldn't go alone with a man in a room unless I go, oh, I know what's going to happen next. I feel like that's such an easy concept to understand. So, not to put these women down, but I'm just saying a lot of women have put themselves in very dangerous positions. And I would just later teach your daughter, hey, respect your body, respect yourself. They're probably not going to be as promiscuous if you're a good parent and you love them and you treat them right.
correct.
They're probably not going to want to fuck the pain away a lot. So it's
Yeah,
also back on the parents and also just teaching them about safety. Hey, make sure you're in a group. Make sure your group comes together and leaves together. Make sure if you like this boy, go alone with him somewhere. If you don't like this boy, don't send him the wrong idea that you want to be alone with him. I just think it's pretty simple and I'm shocked so many women have been said they're taken advantage of when I've actually been backstage and been in the area going, huh, you begged to be there. You begged to get to this band. You begged to get on their bus. How did this band, and I'm talking about Ashley from Backflow of Rides, how did this guy take advantage of you when you begged to get there? I don't think that can happen. I disagree with you're begging to go somewhere alone. What happens from there? You're asking for something sexual to potentially happen. So it doesn't make sense to me.
yeah. So that's the thing with the backstage thing. So what you said, which is like you knew a lot of people don't because they are younger girls and they think that. Because I have one friend, and she apparently was like, "Oh, I used to date, Luke Spiller," which she did, but she's making it seem like it was this, oh man, like he was gonna marry me and all this stuff, and we're just like all looking at her like, girl, like you're lying. Like, no, it was just a
A
thing for a
hookup.
couple of months, and then now it's like, oh, he's a groomer, he's this, he's that. I'm like, no. And plus, I was like, you're 24 years old, so I mean, stop.
Yeah.
But number two, you should have known that this guy was just fucking. He's not actually trying to date you. He wasn't
Yeah.
being serious. And I think that is, like you said, like that is really good. Like that is what gets a lot of people in trouble is these girls that think it is more than what it is. And I think sometimes guys, obviously, I would be disingenuous if I didn't say that some of them obviously are probably high on coke telling them, sweet nothings like, oh, oh my God, like I love you. We're gonna be a power couple. So obviously that happens, but I think it's, you need, I always say this, especially if you're girls, and even in my shoots today, because I do OnlyFans and I have shoots and stuff, and I always
Oh,
say,
good for you. I didn't know you have OnlyFans.
yeah, we can connect afterwards, but yeah,
I've
but
thought
no,
about
like,
it. I've thought about it.
yeah, it's like you always bring more than one person, always. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Never come anywhere, never go, especially if you're younger. Never go anywhere by yourself unless you know that this guy, you met him on, Tinder or whatever. But I would recommend always having a friend that really knows you and
Or a
knows,
loaded
hey, you're
gun.
too drunk right now. Or, I mean,
Uh-oh.
oh, is everything
Yeah, there you go.
okay? Okay, cool. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, it's California, so I don't know how much that's gonna work with the liberal people coming around right now. But
I
I
know.
would
And I
recommend
just had a photo
absolutely.
shoot with someone I didn't know, for money, the one I just posted. And I don't know
I
this
saw that.
old
Yeah,
man coming to my house though. So I load my gun. I've done these photo shoots off Model Mayhem for since 2002. And
yeah,
I always have my gun next to me and I feel really safe. And that's how I make my money because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to go down with these photographers, even though you talk to
correct.
them on the phone, they have other models they've worked with before on their pages. Like, I'll just say, like, you have to protect yourself. You can't say, I'm going to pray to God that I'm going to be safe tonight. You have to have
Yeah.
friends. You need to have a gun. You need to be able to fight. I don't know, like everything. I don't like a weak woman. I'm not going to feel sorry for you if you're a weak woman. Protect yourself.
Yeah, that's the thing where I always said like I would, when I have my daughter, like I'm gonna tell her to carry. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I said, dead people don't rape.
100%.
Period. Some
Yep.
guy tries you, let him know, like, hey, don't be a weak woman because if you're a weak woman, that's gonna you're like it's gonna be like vultures coming to you. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Society
So you
will see
have to
that
be
you're an injured animal, basically, walking
yes,
around. So, be
right.
strong, stand up for yourself. And it's funny, I didn't want a daughter for years, and I have 2 sons, and I was like, "Woo!" And then the last year, I want a daughter. I want a 3rd kid, and I want a little girl, and I wanna raise my tough little girl so bad.
hmm Amazing. So before we go, like, tell us some more, some interesting, I guess, backstage stories that you have, or, you know,
Well, I did date the former bass player of Steel Panther. Travis was his real name, but Lexi Fox was his stage name, and he had like the long
mm,
hair and a mirror and stuff. So that was fun. That was one of my first bisexual relationships. I remember I had hooked up with a couple guys that ended up being gay later that I'd met in high school and college, and they didn't know
yeah,
what they were. And I've always liked feminine men. I'm really into that. And that was my first, though. He goes, "Hey, I'm bi." My last relationship was with a man. And it was unique for me to go through an experience. I felt insecure at first. Like, will I be enough? Because he's mainly dated men. Women have been like, maybe 25% and 75% men. And it went very well. He opened my eyes to dating more bisexual men or switching up the genders in the bedroom
hmm
and stuff like that. And then that's how I got into dating women too. So I was dating women and men. And then I've started recently, it started in 2018. I dated my first completely gay man. And then it was like, oh, that was really fun.
complete gay, like he was like never been with a woman,
He
or
was 32 and he had never been with a woman. And we met at a bar and
wow,
just hit it off like really well. And he goes, I want to take you out Christmas caroling at the Capitol. And I thought that was such a cute first date. Wow, that's
yeah,
amazing. I love it, Mark. Mark calls me the next day before the date and goes, Hey, I'm really nervous. I need to tell you something though. And I go, What? He's like, I've never been with a woman. He's 32. He's in the military. He looks very manly, right? Like, I mean, he's clean shaven, but he looks manly. And I was like, Okay,
mhm,
that's not going to scare me. And ever since having that relationship, I'm now like more open to feminine men or gay or bisexual men. I just think I'm kind of masculine, so it's a good balance.
yeah.
And it's something that I don't know. Have you ever dated a man or just women?
Say it again.
Have you ever dated a man?
What would you think by first looking at me? Everyone always
I'm,
thinks, dude. All my friends are
I
like,
think LA though, I would say everyone dates both genders. So I would put
yeah,
you
no,
more in.
I've never done anything, man. But every time I go out, because I'm such in like glam rock, Bowie, Lou Reed. I always love that stuff, and everyone
Yeah.
always thinks like, oh yeah, let me try it, which I'm like mine. So I like to call myself gay social.
I
So
like
I
that.
have gay social. So I have gay friends, and I party with them, like But yeah, it's for me, women. But when I'm dating, to me, my woman has to be bisexual.
Yeah.
Now if they want to do what they want, fine. But that's kind of where am in that kind of I guess, scene, because all
Yeah.
my friends are that way. But yeah, I mean, everyone when they look at me, they automatically assume which is what I want. Because
Yeah. I
that's
love
what I like.
androgyny, like looking,
Yeah,
androgyny, blurring your gender. That's all very hot and
yeah,
alluring to me. I don't even like labels anymore, though. It's funny. When I was really young, I thought I was gay for a while, right? And then I was like, no, I'm
yeah.
bi. And now that I'm older, I go, I don't want to be labeled at all. I love personality. I really do. And if I can connect with you mentally and I think you can understand who I am, that is such a major turn on to me that we
So
could,
would you? Oh no, go
yeah,
ahead. Go finish.
oh, no, just that we could understand each other on a deeper level and have great conversation. That would really my brain is connected to my pussy, like hardcore. That's where
Right.
it's
So,
at.
would you ever see yourself in a long-term relationship with a bi man, or is it more like a just a fun thing for you with the when
That's
being
a
with a bi man?
great question because I've only been in 2 3-month relationships with men that actually identified as gay. And then the
Mm.
bisexual one with Lexi Fox from Steel Panther was like a very on and off. He was in Vegas and I was in LA. So it was like a
Wait, hold on.
yeah.
Lexi Fox is bisexual.
Yeah. Well, he was actually with men more than women. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I never knew that. That's funny.
Yeah. And so
I feel like I'm
Travis
the
was
only
like,
one that didn't know it in the world.
yeah, Travis dated a lot of men, and so that was, like I said, the first time I'm like, "Am I gonna be enough for you?" I don't know, but, I do want a serious relationship with a man that's bisexual. I think that would actually fit with me and my lifestyle and my mentality better.
Hmm. Amazing. So I guess last question is, if you had a Mount Rushmore of the hottest celebrities that you would want to fuck or do anything, who are they? Top four, pretty much.
Top 4. Okay,
Yes.
Weird Al Yankovic, Angel
What the
yeah,
fuck?
Angelina Jolie, Marilyn Manson, and Tim Dillon.
Whoa. Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
you threw something at me right there.
Yeah,
Tim Dillon. Wow.
that's one of my dream babies. That's the dream hookup.
Because if for people who don't know, Tim Dillon's a podcaster. He's fucking amazing and he's fucking funny, and I love
Yeah,
that guy. But
me too.
like Tim Dillon, that's such a yeah. Because I've never that's like awkward. It's like I love it though, like in a good way awkward. Like
No, but he's
it's like a
feminine, he's
curveball.
thick, he's, like, funny as hell, he's very smart, very creative outside the box. He's my favorite news podcaster. I love the way he
Mm,
presents things and how he thinks and when he's creative and dresses up and the costumes and
yeah.
does physical comedy with things. Everything about him, I would love for us to go out on a date, and explore things, and that's something that I'm still working towards.
Well,
It's the
yeah.
goal.
Let's probably get Tim Dillon on your podcast, man. That
That
would be
I
fucking
got to.
amazing.
I gotta do that.
All right, so what's next for Steph's Rock Show? You know, what are you looking forward to, and then where do people find you? How can people, contact you?
Thank you so much for having me on Sleaze TV. This was fun. You can find me at Steph's Rock Show, Steph with an F, on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I have bands booked out right now till June for the next 2.5 months. It's a lot of rock and metal bands. Sometimes I have a comedian or an OnlyFan girl pop in, but just keep doing what I'm doing and having fun and trying to have sex with Tim Dillon. That's my goal.
I would love this. Okay, so I love this podcast. We have to do this again. Quite frankly, I
I'm
mean, I would
down.
love it. It seems like a really good, fun time, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
All right, and let's hook up. Let's hook you up with Tim Dillon.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, see you later.
Thanks.
Bye.